Hello everyone, I'm Lost, and I'm here to talk about the strange situation that we find ourselves in with Elden Ring. Now don't get me wrong, overall Elden Ring is a fantastic experience, and some people have proclaimed this game to be the best game of all time. Now, it might be down to taste, but there is no denying of the quality and the effort and the thought that From Software has put in this game. Which is why I find it so curious that we have taken a step back from the Dark Souls 3 days in regards to PvP. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. There are a bunch of us, and so a whole group of PvP enthusiasts came together and made this video right here, which we will react to. I have gotten permission, in fact, they contacted me in order for me to add my voice to theirs so that we may hopefully break through and get From Software to listen. So that's what we're going to do today. I will look at the points that are made, I will add my opinion to theirs, and we'll take it from there. So let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the first part of this we are not really going to talk about. Here, there's a bunch of examples of glitches and stuff that have been fixed and that still hasn't been fixed, and I'm not gonna talk too much about it. If you need me to tell you that chainsaw glitching is bad, then I'm sorry, you are brain dead. You're an idiot! We're gonna go all the way to the Furl Calling Finger Remedy chapter of the video, and we'll just start there.
3 months after its release, Elden Ring's multiplayer activity is significantly lower than that of Dark Souls 3, when adjusted for active players, of course. Despite having a much larger player base, this decline is...
Yeah, this is incredibly fascinating, because Elden Ring sold obscenely well. It took Elden Ring 2 weeks to sell 12 million copies, and it took Dark Souls 3 4 years to sell 10 million copies. Now, 10 million copies is nothing to sneeze at, but compared to Elden Ring, if Elden Ring is John Wick, then Dark Souls 3 is a baby with a gun. That's how big of a difference there is. Now, granted, one of the main reasons why people may have dropped off may be down to churn. Churn is basically the people who wanted to play this game for the PvE and then just dropped off once that was done, which is understandable, that is absolutely fair, but Dark Souls 3 retained a much bigger player base from a percentage point of view than what Elden Ring did, and that's just down to how Elden Ring implemented the multiplayer features, and I'm sure that Waifu will explain that to us right now.
This decline is mainly attributed to the Full Calling Finger Remedy, which is an item that allows you to see summon signs and use some multiplayer items. And this
you can see summon signs, you guys. I shouldn't laugh at that. I have an accent as well. But they're not wrong here. The Furl Calling Finger Remedy is a waste of space. It's inefficient and detrimental for playing with your friends. It only exists to give you access to multiplayer, be that co-op or be that PvP. It has no other benefits. So if you don't have friends, and let's be honest, a bunch of you don't have any friends, then you would never use this. You would never walk through a dungeon, randomly see a sign, and pick that up. It is frustrating, and what's worse is, this is a consumable, you have to reapply this thing every single time you die, which is just annoying. Now, I disagree vehemently with having an item like this, but if you're gonna do it, then why not do it like the blue circlet? The blue circlet allows you to be aided by blues if you are invaded. That's a turn this thing on or off. Why not do the same thing with the Furl Calling Finger? You know what? they'll probably talk about this, but in Dark Souls 3, you had something called an Ember. The Ember gave you extra health, so you were incentivized popping that thing early on, and when you were embered, you could see the signs on the ground. And maybe you weren't thinking of going through the dungeon with a friend, but the sign is there, you might as well pick it up. It was a wonderfully organic way to do PvE. So it's such a shame that they removed it. Let's continue.
Often leaves players unaware of cooperative and PvP opportunities. In previous games, multiplayer was less easily missed. For example, the visibility of white summoning signs was linked to embers in Dark Souls 3,
there you go.
And red
Just
signs were
said
always
this.
visible even when unembered. However, embers offered health restoration and max HP boosts, naturally encouraging their use and ensuring frequent multiplayer encounters, as was the case in other Souls games. The issue with this is that the player has no incentive to use the finger remedy unless they specifically...
It's so strange because we have an ember in the game. It's called the Great Rune or Rune Arcs. So if you have a Rune Arc activated, why not see signs on the ground and allow us to invade you? You've already got a lot of advantages.
Want to engage in PvP activities, there are no additional bonuses associated with using the item, unlike in previous Souls games. Thus, its existence seems solely designed to hinder multiplayer activity and serves no other purpose.
You know, it's also funny. They made it a craftable item, so I think maybe it just exists in order to tie together the lore and to make an unnecessary system. I didn't like the crafting system, but it's now necessary to use that system if I want to do co-op.
Sign visibility should always be active when playing online to ensure that everyone is aware of the multiplayer options. The item desperately needs a rework.
And by rework, we mean get rid of it! Get this thing out of the game! Or at least make it like a turn on or off thing, please. Or give us some benefits. Maybe you grow a second penis.
Regardless of From Software's chosen solution, it should have PvE bonuses.
Ooh, yeah, the 4-player limit. This is something that gets brought up in basically every stream I do. This is gonna be interesting to see.
Do you know what Taunter's tongue is, Tarnished?
You want a French kiss?
This item is obtained after you defeat Mad Tongue Alberic NPC in Round Table Hold. Its sole purpose is to allow invaders when you're playing alone, eliminate invasion's cooldown, and allow a second invader when you're playing co-op with someone. Currently, Elden Ring allows a maximum of 4 gamers in one session. This is by default 1 host, 2 phantoms, gold or blue, and 1 invader, with Taunter...
Yeah. In Dark Souls 3, you could have 6 people, which was such a great experience because having help, having 2 reds versus 4 opponents makes the situation way more manageable. When playing as an invader, I don't mind having 1 host try to murder me while a phantom in the back is slinging spells my way. Don't get me wrong, it's not the greatest experience, but that's something that I can handle for the most part. Where it becomes exceedingly more difficult is when the 3rd phantom arrives in order to blast you. It's so much more difficult having control, having spatial awareness enough to figure out where that guy is coming from, that I bet a lot of people stop playing Invasions because they feel frustrated because of it.
Tongue, you can have 2 invaders, making the invasion a 2v2. However, this system can be easily abused, because a host can disable Taunter's Tongue whenever he wants, luring invaders easily and keeping advantage by not allowing a second one to enter the world.
Yeah, that's also so strange. I mean, I guess this is a simple oversight by From Software. Don't allow them to turn it off, because if you do, then it's just more frustration for the invaders.
Elden Ring's limit of 2 invaders with the Taunter's Tongue and 1 without it often results in unbalanced 3v1 situations due to the 4-player limit. This, combined with powerful weapons and spells, makes invasions highly unbalanced and discouraging, especially for...
Yeah, so I will have to say that invasions should never be balanced exactly. You should always be on the back foot. But there's a question of degrees here. And again, having 3 versus 1 situations all the time instead of 2 versus 4 is a big detriment to everybody, I think.
For newcomers, all of these issues can be addressed.
Also, I'm sorry. I just want to take a look at that image. That's such a good drawing.
All of these issues can be addressed with one change, increasing the player limit to 6.
Yeah, so I desperately want this, but I don't think this is going to happen because of limitations, whether that be software, hardware, or simply skill on the side of FromSoft. All of that being said, I think there is a way around this. Give us one specific area, a war zone, where we can have the 4v2 situations. Or even maybe, may I say it? Maybe 8v3? I don't know. Something like that. We all remember Gang City in Dark Souls 3, and I'll be honest, I didn't play a lot of Gang City. I didn't enjoy that, but I know it was a great thing for the community, so I think that is going to be the solution here. Now, granted, I say that, now I think it would be impossible for From Software to address this unless they have actually listened to this criticism before and made one of these areas for the DLC. And we have been complaining about this for a while, so it might still happen, but not because we made this video.
With a maximum of 3 players allied with the host. This ensures that the host receives help from 2 white phantoms as well as a blue phantom, but also leaves a minimum of 2 slots for invaders. This allows for various scenarios and matchups such as 4v2, 3v2, 3v3 and 2v2. In most cases, the host maintains the numerical advantage, but even the worst case scenario of 4v2 would still be far preferable for an invader compared to the 3v1 we have now.
Yeah. And we know they can do this because they did so with the arena. There's a 3v3 in the arena, so why not give us that option in the actual game?
Additionally, we should prevent hosts from disabling Taunter's Tongue during invasions to deter hosts from abusing it and ensure invaders can receive assistance. Dark Souls 3 allowed players to summon the maximum possible number of duelist red phantoms even when they weren't embered. The host should be able to summon the maximum number of duelist phantoms without any additional restrictions, regardless of whether the Taunter's Tongue is active or not, or if the bosses are alive or not.
This reminds me as well, and I'm guessing they're going to go into it right now, but the fight clubs of Dark Souls 3 was such an important aspect of community building. I know that we have an arena. We had that in Dark Souls 3 as well, but the arena probably had less players than Gang City's fight clubs. It's just something about sitting there in-game, watching 2 people fight, waiting for your turn, rather than sitting in a lobby. It is immersive, I suppose I should say. It was a beautiful experience.
Making red signs readily accessible also provides a convenient way for new players to try and learn PvP with little to no commitment, and multiplayer items like Taunter's Tongue should not require Furl Calling Finger, as it's counterintuitive to the user experience and it should allow invasions even when the area boss is dead.
Yes.
If hardware limitations prevent a 6-player open world experience, restrict the 6-player feature to dungeons, legacy dungeons, and/or areas where Torrent cannot enter. In summary, increasing the player limit and removing these restrictions would rejuvenate community events and improve the balance and enjoyment of invasion.
I lack community events. We could do so much with just a few extra players. It is unfortunate.
In Elden Ring.
No solo host
In previous
invasions.
games, periodic PvP invasions added
There's a lot of people that have a lot of things to say here. I absolutely think that we should be allowed to invade solo players. There might be some balancing things that we can do. For example, give solo players extra health, give them a little extra damage, if they haven't used Taunter's Tongue, that is. But getting invaded as a solo player, I think really adds to the excitement. That's something that I so missed when I was playing through Lords of the Fallen. And don't get me wrong, the PvP in that game sucks ass. Sucks so much goddamn ass. But it's still an exciting experience. And if you don't want that experience, maybe we could give you an item to burn or something, so that you don't have to experience being invaded. But I think it also draws you in to the community. I think it makes you curious. First you get invaded, then you turn to, maybe you become a blue in order to guard other people from invaders, and then when you get a taste for the combat, for the gameplay, then you become a red, and then you invade yourself. There are a lot of stories online like that, and we didn't get any of that in this.
excitement, creating unique moments in each playthrough. You never knew when a rabid monkey would come out of nowhere to chew ass and kick bubblegum. However, Elden Ring's implementation makes invasions opt-in, limited to specific conditions like summoning cooperatives or using Taunter's Tongue. This funnels invaders to co-op players, leaving solo players without PvP opportunities. Unlike the old invasions, Taunter's Tongue invasions are...
Yeah. Solo invasions was the gateway to moral degradation. It was the gateway for becoming an invader yourself.
are constant and disrupt the overall gameplay experience, eliminating the excitement of occasional and unpredictable encounters that made Souls games memorable. Also, just like when summoning duelists, you're also inviting players to come to your world when using the Taunter's Tongue, which kind of goes against the very core definition of what an invasion really is.
Sure, yeah.
Doesn't work if you invite them. Idly hey!
Go home.
Doodly-doo!
So what can From Software do about it? Well, similar to Dark Souls 3, upon activating a rune arc, a player's world should become open to invasions. Additionally, defeating a boss could reward the host with both a rune arc and automatically put them in rune arc mode. This...
Yes, I agree with that. I think that we definitely should have other ways of procuring a rune arc then. Because as I think I talked about earlier, if you run out of rune arcs and you need that to co-op, for example, then yeah, you're out of luck. But with the rune arc and full calling finger thing together, I think there's some options there. Yeah.
This would allow all players to experience PvP during their playthrough without needing to use a rune arc from their inventory. To make this system work in Elden Ring, solo host invasions should primarily occur in dungeons, legacy dungeons, and non-open world areas, with a few exceptions sprinkled in. This way, we can preserve uninterrupted open world exploration in Torrent. This will diversify invaders' targets, making it appealing for newcomers as they won't...
Rune arc people are only susceptible to invasions in legacy dungeons. I absolutely agree. So we can allow them some freedom and just explore in the open world. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because that's something that I really enjoy doing. And I'll be honest, if I got invaded while exploring, that might be a little But if you have a friend there already, then yeah, okay, you are actually ready to fight. That I would accept. That wouldn't be too bad. That would be fine.
...get constantly destroyed by three-man squads.
Same thing.
Yep.
What the
Been there, my man.
Dirty. Furthermore, this change revitalizes the role of blue phantoms, making them defenders of unprepared hosts against threatening invaders, instead of currently being reduced to the role of absolute bullies when joining a host who usually already has help against a lone invader. This middle ground broadens the appeal of...
You know, I hadn't thought about this until they mentioned it, but the role of the blue has been really butchered in this game. They used to be protectors, now they're bullies. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that statement.
Of PvP and enhances the gaming experience, reminiscent of past games' immersive invasions. As for the minority completely opposed to invasions, they can still avoid
Yeah, there's a lot of people that will complain online. There's always been that. I don't think I necessarily need to talk about this because the people who complain are the minority. They really are. I think most people enjoy a little bit of competition. I think that being invaded adds that element of uncertainty, which is just extra scary. Yeah, I don't think we should listen to those people.
PvP by not using rune arcs in dungeons or invadable areas, or simply by playing offline. Even when losing to an invader, normal gamers understand that dying and improving are integral aspects of the Souls formula. In this sense, losing to a human player is no different from losing to an AI enemy, and some of the people that complain about invasions can't even tell the difference from an AI invasion.
Some dork who's better than me kept invading me over and over in a round table hold. Leave and take an hour breakup back and this dork is still there. Yeah, I also wanted to say... Oh god, that's so dumb. Okay, so... There's no shame in losing. Not to the bosses of Elden Ring, because they are hard as crap. Nor is there any shame to losing to another player. It's all about growth there.
To a human invader, so it's a mistake to cater to that minority. That being said, there are other issues that can reasonably deter people from PvP. One in particular that I consider would be the most important one.
PvP lacks incentive. This is incredibly important, and yeah, I have a lot to say about this, but we'll see what they mention in the video.
Did you know that currently there are no unique rewards for engaging in PvP Tarnished?
Yes,
the only rewards
I do know
at the moment
that.
are rune arcs or runes, both of which can be easily acquired by easier means. There's also no sense of accomplishment or recognition either. No leaderboards, no ranks, no achievements. Not even a pat on the back after barely winning that invasion against a 3-man gank squad. No wonder gamers outright opt out of PvP entirely. There's no reason to engage in it, so what can be done about it? In Dark Souls 1, there was a leaderboard for...
I will admit, I don't give a damn about leaderboards whatsoever. I never have. Well, that's a lie. One time I cared, and that was Batman Arkham Asylum, when I played it on my PlayStation 3. There was challenge rooms. I played as the Joker. He was a downloadable character on the PlayStation. And I managed to get second place because I got super lucky with a combo. That was cool. That was the one time I cared about leaderboards.
For the top servants of chaos. It would be great if From Software could
But other people care, of course, so yeah, absolutely add leaderboards. It's an easy and simple way of giving you the ability to acquire some prestige.
Introduce leaderboards in Elden Ring, as they offer a more lasting sense of accomplishment than just item rewards. Having leaderboards for co-op, invasions and arena duels would tremendously enhance the experience and provide a nice incentive to engage in PvP. To prevent cheating, arena duels should also be based on an ELO system. Alternatively, if leaderboards prove to be
cheating is gonna happen, though. Elden Ring is better at this than Dark Souls 3 was. A lot better. But they still have some cheating issues.
challenging to implement, making arena medals more rewarding by making them easy to lose could be a solution. This system would ensure that medals reflect player skill and achievement in terms of item rewards. A rune arc shop where players can spend their rune arcs earned through PvP to purchase all in-game items is highly recommended. However, it would be best.
I also just want to give, I don't know if it's straight up waifu that did the editing here, because I know this video was put together by a lot of different people, but I want to really commend waifu on the editing that we can see, because it's damn good. It's damn good. There's a lot of work that was put in here.
To unlock the Rune Arc shop after completing New Game Plus to maintain balance. This approach would motivate gamers to engage in multiplayer for faster Rune Arc accumulation and enhance the overall gaming experience. Additionally, implementing upgrade materials as rewards, similar to Dark Souls 2, would be a nice addition to Elden Ring. These materials could be obtained as random drops in PvP encounters. It would be ideal if PvP could provide items that are useful for both PvE.
Yeah. This was something that was done in Lords of the Fallen. In Lords of the Fallen, yeah, again, the PvP is absolutely crap, but they had a community goal. If so and so many people invaded and killed so and so many people, certain items were made available in the shop. And one of these items were the most sought after and the highest level of upgrade materials. And there's a bunch of stuff you can do that in that we can use that in Elden Ring as well. Give us the dragon head stones or whatever, the ancient dragon somber smithing stones, and give us larval tears. That's an excellent idea.
And PvP, creating more incentive for players. This system could also integrate with the leaderboard we discussed earlier, increasing the chances of a co-op/host obtaining an ancient dragon smithing stone
there you go.
when defeating a high-ranking invader, and vice versa. And finally, we come to the most important multiplayer feature that is missing in Elden Ring. Have you noticed how Elden Ring's lore is filled with factions, kingdoms, and nations?
There's no
in conflict?
covenants!
The Dragon Cult, the Confessors, Assassins of the Two Fingers, Carrier Knights, Fear's Champions, Volcano Mano Recusants, Mog's Bloody Fingers. Yes, we have a lot of different groups, but no covenants at all. Covenants would enhance the multiplayer experience by adding a role-playing element and creating a sense of belonging to specific factions. This addition...
Yeah, so covenants are great. You won't see me knocking covenants. They would... All of the things that I said in this video is true, but I think they could go one step further with this. You want to create a mode of play where PvEers interact with PvPers, and it's not just going through the game. I had an idea a little while ago, and I made a video on it, like, God, it must be a year ago now, where I suggested creating a mode where once you've beaten a legacy dungeon, you could activate an item and a chest or 3 random keys in an area would spawn, and you had to go through that area, grab the keys and open the chest, and in that chest you could probably find a dragon smithing stone or maybe a larval tear. While you were going through and looking for these keys, invaders would be trying to get to you. And now you have a real exciting mode that everybody can engage in. And I think that a lot of PvEers wouldn't get annoyed about this because it exists specifically to create some interaction between the invaders and the hosts. Again, we create this gateway drug for hosts to experience some PvP, and then they might want to try it out as well. And if the rewards are great enough, then I guess the annoying people, the complainers, wouldn't really complain too much. I don't think they would even get to that level, honestly. Yeah. Maybe even make it a New Game Plus thing.
Would undoubtedly serve as a powerful motivator for engaging in more thrilling PvP encounters. Unfortunately, Elden Ring missed a significant opportunity by not implementing covenants.
And it's interesting because there are covenants in the game, or at least if they dug through the files and they found, I don't remember exactly, but they were Covenant ranks, I believe. So this was something that FromSoft intended to put in, but they never got to it. I think that's going to be the case with the DLC. I think we'll definitely get Covenants. I think that there was a lot put on the cutting room floor. That has always been the case with From Software games. And because Elden Ring sold such an obscene amount of copies, they now have the money to just say, screw it. We will put in everything we wanted to put in. And from Software's point of view, from Miyazaki's point of view, with the DLC, this will be the most complete game that they have ever created.
Likely due to time constraints. The specifics of each covenant will be up to From Software, but the idea is presented here. Hopefully, we will see something about it in the DLC.
Yeah.
Let's start pointing out the obvious. The current arena sucks, and that...
The current arena sucks. That is obvious. Let's just go through it, shall we? Quickly, because there is only flat ground. There is one arena with some pillars, and that's about it. And that's maybe half the fun of combat in these games removed. Playing arena feels like playing Super Smash Brothers, but only fighting on Final Destination. That could be good to show who has the greatest amount of basic skill, but I think there is a value to flexibility, to be able to use the terrain to your advantage. And it makes for a more fun and evolving experience, especially if you're fighting against a goddamn mage that does nothing but hurl lightning spears towards you the entire match. I really think that this is absolutely needed.
That's because of two main issues, divisive modes and the layout of the arenas.
Yeah.
So let me explain to you why the current circular arena sucks donkey balls. First,
Already done so.
the arena is extremely large and round. Huge maps and no corners means that an opponent can just run away the whole match, and under certain builds and latency conditions, they can be basically untouchable. To address this,
Look at that. The community, and I've tried some of these, the community has made such wonderful arenas. They have. Why are we not? Why didn't From Software do this? It can't be that hard. Look at that. Look at how cool that is. That is definitely something to add for the DLC. It wouldn't take long for them, and it's easy to implement this in the DLC because I assume we're going back in time. I'm just going to assume that all the lords would be alive. They would probably all be fighting against the Prince of Death. Maybe that's the last time we really get to see them come together under one, even if it's a tenuous alliance. And then we can have all of these arenas available for us to play. Could be so cool.
rectangular maps with...
I wonder if we'll get to see Rykard in a non-snack form.
corners for skillful duels. Introduce maps with verticality, ample walls, and cover for projectile defense. Also, specific maps should be assigned to their appropriate modes: duels, combat ordeal, united combat, to maintain fair competition. This is especially important
so cool.
if quick matches with their own leaderboard that we mentioned earlier will be implemented to preserve skillful gameplay and point fairness. Another of the Coliseum's major issues is that it offers an excessive number of PvP modes and options that ultimately divide the player base, resulting in only 1v1 duels remaining active. To address this problem while maintaining the current range of player choices, we recommend the introduction of a quick match option. And
I mean, FromSoft really tried here. They did give this some thought, but I think it just comes down to them being a little inexperienced.
and a lobby system, drawing inspiration from Software's Armored Core 6.
That might
Quick
help.
match
Yeah, that might
involves
help. They made
automated
Armored Core 6, so they may have some more experience now. This is good.
matches without password changes or map selection. Conversely, Custom Match operates like the lobby system in Armored Core 6, offering full customization. Selecting Quick Match offers 4 options: Any, Duels, United Combat, and Combat Ordeal. The Any option is crucial, enabling queue access to all other modes, promoting team-based battles akin to invasions but in an arena setting, addressing a missing element in the base game. Other modes under Quick Match would remain basically the same. It's very important that all modes, not just...
I don't really have much to say about this. I want to say, though, generally, I don't make reaction videos because most reaction videos, they just suck ass and they steal content. There are some good reaction videos where there's an expert talking about something in the video. But again, the people here, they asked me to show this video and I'm going to do it. And right now, I don't have that much to add.
Any prohibit spirit summons, map selection and password changes to reduce player division and enhance matchmaking across all modes, not just duels. In other words, the more monkeys we gather in the same place, the better. If the previously mentioned leaderboards were to be implemented, they should be exclusive to Quick Match to prevent password cheating. Another mode for the arena, apart from Quick Match, could be Custom Match for those who want a more specific experience. You would have 2 options: Create Room and Search Room. Create Room lets you customize settings similarly to the current arena options, with the option to set a password or not. Under Search, you can find lobbies or rooms created by others. With a password, you only see rooms with the same password. Without one, you can join open rooms. This system provides visibility into active rooms, improving the experience compared to the current random join approach. Additionally, when searching for a room, you can choose to join if there's an available spot or spectate without occupying a slot. This feature is crucial in competitive games, enabling event organization and community engagement.
I'm not much for competitiveness. Not really. I just want to do my invasions because, again, it feels a little bit like playing Super Smash Bros. With all of the items in a really interesting map. But this would undoubtedly help a bunch of other creators. I know Steel would love this. Steel and G9 specifically.
In the case that the previous suggestions are too complex or time-consuming, introducing an Any Game Mode option will be a very simple way to pull more players together and boost activity across all modes. Last but not least, the arena lacks phantom colors, causing confusion in Combat and Combat Ordeal, adding at least
that's something I didn't think about, but
combat
that's a little annoying.
This issue. So, we have addressed all of the issues of the PvP system respectively, but there's a few more general quality of life changes that we also have to mention.
I don't know if this is going to be mentioned, but please, for the love of God, FromSoft, rework the teleporting red finger. It's so annoying. Why, when I'm using the Rexant finger, do I get teleported to the exact same space I was? Why can't you just cross that off the list? In fact, all of the spawn points should be reworked because there's some that just sends you to your death. There exists some where you get stuck in the floor or in the wall. Ah! That was a manly scream, by the way, in order for me to intimidate FromSoft. In fact, if you're watching this far into the video, in the chat, do a manly scream.
Yeah, I know, the game needs a lot of work put into it. We all know latency is always going to be there, but there are ways to make it less of an inconvenience. One of them being the implementation of a ping priority filter. This filter would prioritize players with better connections, ensuring stability. Unlike adding more regions, a ping priority filter doesn't segregate players by region, but selects the best connections from the entire pool.
Yeah.
And another one being fixing the...
This is something that From Software definitely needs to become better at. They can create some fantastic worlds, create incredibly designed dungeons. The animation guys at FromSoft should get a goddamn award for all the work they put in. And I would personally suck every one of those guys off or play with the vagina if they so choose. But I can't say enough good things about the animation guys. after playing all the Souls-likes that has come out this year.
The problem with easy anti-cheat, which has been proved to nearly double the ping between gamers. Finding a fix.
Yeah, easy anti-cheat, by the way, is the reason why I do not play on PC anymore. I simply use it for editing purposes now. All of my gameplay that I capture is now on the PlayStation 5. It is night and day. It is an incredible difference.
For this issue is important to keep players engaged and give the game a longer lifespan. For some reason, certain items have unnecessary limitations in PvP. For example, the Flask of Wondrous Physics can only be used once per life, suitable for PvE but problematic in PvP because in extended sessions it becomes just an empty Gatorade bottle in your inventory. Allowing it to refill after defeating a player would enhance long PvP sessions, which come in abundance. Also,
you know what? Yes, I didn't. That's something that I haven't thought about, but I think that would be an excellent idea. Refill that flask. Don't make the effect stack necessarily, but just give them the ability to refill that flask. Another thing that would be really good for them to implement is allow me to fill my item box with bombs or perfumes, because right now you have to make 10 perfumes, put 9 of them in the box, make 10 more perfumes or 9 more perfumes, put them in the box and repeat that process. And that is painful. That is painful, let me tell you. So there's something that needs to be done about that.
in the context of a 6-player limit and
I mean, it is so stupid.
fight clubs, this edition ensures that duelists can continue fighting and receive rewards for consistent victories. Another issue is that rune arcs are needlessly restricted in PvP. Why can't everyone use rune arcs during invasions or duels?
Yeah, that would be cool. The best rune arc is probably the one that you get early on, but you can make some really interesting builds with the other rune arcs. Yeah, the builds that we could use, there could be more interesting region builds. Oh, there's some options. Yeah, like that. They might have to balance it out a little bit, but we'll see.
For example, the host's advantage with great runes during a duel with a red summon duelist is unfair, or in 3 versus 1 cases too. Rune arcs should be accessible in multiplayer, especially for red duelist summons and arena fights, enhancing the importance of this game mechanic. Dark Souls 3 already had embers working in this manner for duelists, so it was a bit weird that rune arcs didn't work the same way. Reducing restrictions on great runes and physic flask effects provides more options for defense.
That's a beautiful parry, by the way.
And health bonuses, mitigating the issue of excessively high damage in PvP, which leads to overly short fights. Elden Ring's vast open world lacks suitable dueling spots with a site of grace in proximity, unlike past games like Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, here's what I was talking about earlier. This very spot, I think, is the reason why Dark Souls 3 had such a huge community. I don't think you can underestimate the importance of this spot because it really made us come together as a community. And I may have interrupted a bunch of fight clubs here, and then the fight club people got angry and they ganged up on me, and rightfully so! I miss this, man.
With the Pontiff Arena. A quality of life improvement would be placing a site of grace within the Coliseum arena maps to create community hubs. The beautiful Coliseum arenas remain largely unexplored, missing out on the potential for community fight clubs, especially if small square and rectangular maps were introduced. If hardware limitations prevent exploring the Coliseum, consider adding a site of grace to the arena in Stormvile Castle, a well-sized and shaped arena currently distant from other sites of grace.
Yes. In fact, something that I would like would be if they just added a little extra walkway up there. They could just take one place in the main game and change it once the DLC is out. Just a little bit. And we get to see people fight. It would be lovely.
Larval tears are key items that are used with Renala to change your character attributes. In a single playthrough, larval tears for attribute respects are limited. Once depleted, players must enter New Game Plus for more. PvP-focused players.
So I think the main reason why they are limited is because Miyazaki and FromSoft, they want to make you feel like your choices matter. Whatever you choose, it has some consequence. Yes, you can change and you can try a bunch of different things, but you will eventually run out of larval tears, so your choices matter. I can understand where they're coming from here, if that is indeed what they're thinking. But in today's day and age, I think that the trade of experiencing the game in as many ways as you can trumps the other.
Often experimenting with builds, find this extremely tedious. To address this, it would be wise to offer balanced alternatives like Covenant rewards or a rune arc shop to obtain lava.
Yeah, Covenant rewards would be great. Or the idea I said earlier about creating an arena or reusing the dungeons, putting 3 keys, having them find an item there. I think that would be perfect.
Tears. A PvP-centered way to renew the item would maintain rarity and incentivize PvP participation. Also, the Demon Souls down-leveling feature should make a comeback, but in a more user-friendly manner by utilizing larval tears with my mum. This change would greatly benefit multiplayer activity, enabling players who have exceeded the level bracket where most others play to down-level and join them, saving hours of character restarts. This, along with the earlier suggestion of infinite respecs.
So, alright, I can see why down-leveling could be fun for us invaders. However, that does create the issue of invading early game people with, I don't want to say high-level stuff, but invading early game, well, yeah, with late game gear. The late game gear isn't necessarily the best gear. You can find some really good gear early on, but maybe put a cap on it, on how far back you can level. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of balancing things there that could go wrong.
Simplifies build creation and enhances PvP enjoyment. You've made it to the end of the first part.
Hey, we did it!
I hope that wasn't much of a sleeper for you. I want to point out that all of the changes and balances we suggested were previously implemented in other FromSoft titles. This is important because it shows that we are not asking for new and extravagant things, but for the return of community-loved features that would tremendously improve Elden Ring.
Yeah.
In the next part, we will discuss more technical improvements and suggestions for the gameplay itself, such as frame data, poise values, and other little...
That's probably going to come out when I release this video, or very close to it. That's going to be very interesting for me to take a look at, because I have a lot of things to say about the different effects just a slight change in a value can have.
Aspects that can enhance PvP and create a cleaner experience for everyone. But the best part is, you won't have to wait for FromSoft to implement those balance changes, because Part 2 will come with a free-to-use mod that already includes all the balance tweaks from Part 2.
I knew that, by the way. Spoiler alert, I guess. That is really cool. That could be really fun to try out.
You can try them out yourself after watching the video. The community is putting a lot of effort into this, and we want people to know that PvP can be great. You know, it's not this scary boogeyman that everyone should fear, as some people think. It's a harmless, awesome activity where you can experience unique situations that you won't find in any other type of game. So if you've made it this far, we hope to see you in Part 2 as well. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, a comment, and most importantly, share it with friends. Consider subscribing to
Consider that done.
Only Waifu, Gabri, or any of the other wholesome nerds who made this video possible. Remember to eat fruits and veggies, and as always, thanks for watching.
You're welcome. And that's it. I might do the second video as well. I'm gonna wait a little bit. I'm going to wait a couple of days with reacting to the second video because of, well, I want waifu here to get all of their ad revenue first, of course. But then, we'll see. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Mwah.